This year, the Brooklyn Nets are the strongest they've ever been. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving and Steve Nash, that's a recipe for a championship. How are you doing, everyone? I hope you've had a really great Christmas, had some great time off, just relaxing with your family and doing nothing really. But for 5 minutes you can forget about all of that and listen to what I have to say about the Brooklyn Nets this season. And if you're new around here, this is basically just a series where I'll pick an NBA team, give my floor and ceiling for them and then just predict what I think they'll be like this season. And if you wouldn't mind just liking the video, that really does help me out. And then without further ado, let's get right into the video. On opening night, we saw the Nets play the Warriors and it was not as close as I thought it would be. The Nets blew the Warriors out by 26 points and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving only played 25 minutes each, yet scored 22 and 26 respectively. And Kevin Durant looked like he'd never left. He was aggressive on offense, slashing as usual, and jumping did not look to be an issue. After an Achilles and calf injury, most fans doubted that KD could return to his former self, but I was pretty sure he'd be fine, and I've mentioned this in previous videos. And it's because both his ACL and Achilles injury was to his right leg, which is his non-jumping leg. Whenever you watch Kevin Durant jump, he always jumps off his left leg or goes left-right because he's right-handed and his left leg is the dominant leg. So as long as he's fully healed, which I'm sure he is, he should be absolutely fine this year, and I feel like any team with a healthy Kevin Durant on it is a contender instantly. But then they also have one of the best point guards in the league in Kyrie Irving. Like KD, Kyrie had some injury problems last year and only played 20 games that season. But he also looked great last night with 26 points and 4 threes from 7 attempts. His handles were as great as ever and he and Kevin Durant played okay together, even though many people thought they wouldn't. And although Kyrie has been a hard player to play with on every single team he's been on, he did manage to win a championship with LeBron and the Cavaliers, so obviously it can actually work. And I expect Kyrie to get right back to his prime too, as long as he can stay healthy. As for the rest of their roster, they have some great role players that I really like. They've got Jarrett Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan and Caris LeVert. Jarrett Allen will predominantly come off the bench this year it seems, but he'll still have a great impact for them. He's a traditional type of centre like DeAndre Jordan and struggles to score outside of 15 feet. He's a great screener though and very efficient around the basket. The only reason I think they'll start Jordan over him is his basketball IQ, as Jordan has been in the league almost 10 years longer than him. Jordan also knows Kyrie and Kevin Durant well from their Team USA work, so generally he'll play better with them I think. Then Spencer Dinwiddie is such an underrated player for me, and although his role will be different this season, he'll still be a great player for the Nets. Throughout his career, he's mainly played the point guard position, but with the arrival of Kyrie Irving, he's been switched to a shooting guard. He may not be as impressive on the stat sheet this season, but will have a huge impact on them offensively. And whenever Kyrie takes a breather, Spencer will be right back to the point anyway. And then they have Joe Harris, who's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league on their team, and he'll shoot at least 40% from 3 this season. And honestly, with all the attention that KD and Kyrie will take away on offense, I could see him shooting 50% this year from 3. Because with all the attention they're taking away on offense, this should just lead to far more wide open looks for him. And honestly, I can picture it already, with Joe Harris just being wide open in the wing or the corner when KD or Kyrie is driving to the basket. And honestly, I think he could play similarly to Klay Thompson on the Warriors when he had Steph Curry and Kevin Durant on his team. And obviously I don't think Joe Harris will ever be as good as Klay Thompson, but that's certainly someone he can model his game around. And then the final player I want to talk about is Caris LeVert, who I think is super underrated as well. The past 2 years he's only played a combined 85 games, which is a bit of a concern for me, but whenever he does play he has a solid impact. He hasn't started in either game so far this season, so it looks like he'll be a bench player this year. Either way, he should be a solid role player for them this year who can keep the team going when KD or Kyrie is off the court. And then with all that being said, what is my floor and ceiling for the Brooklyn Nets this season? And starting with their season, I think they can win a championship. No surprises there, they've certainly got the tools for it, and yeah, I think they can do it. And although getting the number 1 seed over the Milwaukee Bucks will be tough, I definitely think they can do that too. But then like with the other top teams I've done prediction videos for, the floor is so much harder to predict. And for predicting their floor, I'm going to assume that KD and Kyrie will stay healthy, as I think they will this season. Obviously they may have some minor injuries where they miss a game or two, but no major injuries this season. And with that being said, I can only see them dropping as low as the 4th seed in the East, with only the Bucks, Celtics and Miami Heat finishing above them. But my honest prediction for where they'll finish, I think the number 2 seed right behind the Milwaukee Bucks. Now for the playoffs, there are a few teams who could cause some problems in a 7-game series. And obviously like I mentioned, the Bucks, Celtics and Heat, but I think the Raptors could too as well. If their seeds go how I predict, I think these will be the last 4 teams in the East, so therefore that makes the Nets floor the Eastern Conference semi-finals. But honestly, I think they'll get past this round and into the Eastern Conference Finals, but probably lose to the Bucks there. But for the team to get out of the East, I'm really torn between them and the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, that is my prediction video for the Nets done, and for my next video, I think I'll do the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you've watched all the way to the end of the video, it really does mean a lot to me, so thank you for that. And then as always, I hope you've really enjoyed watching, and I'll see you on my next video.